My confrontation with my cheating wife. Lisa was 35 years old, 5 feet 4 inches tall, weighing 119 pounds, good figure 35, 28, 36. Very pretty, brown eyes and dark brown hair with an auburn tint. Lisa was used to getting everything she wanted from a young age. She was always impressed by handsome, bright, confident men who worked their way to the top. Why she ever went along with her future husband and married him remained a mystery to those who knew her. He was the opposite of her ideal, but he had won her over and achieved her hand in marriage, much to everyone's surprise, even his own, to be honest. Darren was 37 years old, 5 feet 9 inches tall and weighing 175 pounds. He had an athletic build, was generally mild-mannered but not obtrusive. Darren grew up in a large, happy but not wealthy family, living in an unfashionable neighborhood in the city. Already at an early age, he learned to watch himself, and in his teens, he gained a reputation as a slick street fighter not to be messed with. Darren and Lisa have been married for 7 years. They had no children yet, which was sometimes a problem. Darren wanted to start a family, but Lisa said she wasn't ready yet. She was well aware of her attraction to men and didn't mind flirting from time to time, but Darren never had any reason to think it was a real problem. Lisa worked for a large financial services company. She had joined them 5 years ago as a receptionist and had recently been promoted to department head, working under one of the company's top managers who had been hired from a rival company a few months ago. Lisa looked like butter wouldn't melt in her mouth, but could be mean when things didn't go according to her plan. Darren was a radiologist working in the MRI department of the local hospital. He worked shifts and sometimes long hours, but he loved his job and loved feeling like he was giving something back to the community. He loved Lisa to bits and was used to her occasional arguments, which usually ended as quickly as they came. For the past couple months, Lisa had been uncharacteristically moody and unresponsive to Darren's concerns about it. Despite Darren's best attempts to cheer her up, he was only partially successful, and after a while she would slip back into a bad mood. The only time she had been cheerful recently was when she left the house for work. 4 weeks ago, Lisa had informed Darren that the annual summer party for employees and their partners would be held the following Saturday night. She had shown little interest in socializing with her coworkers in the past, and the couple had only attended 2 of the previous parties. With that in mind, Darren was somewhat surprised to find that Lisa was keen to go this year, and for the last couple of weekends she had been busy buying a new dress and accessories. Surprisingly or not, Darren happily embraced the idea of going to the party, deciding that an evening of socializing and dancing might help cheer Lisa up and bring some sparkle back into their lives. Since Lisa had first told him about the party, she had told Darren several times that he didn't have to go if he didn't want to. According to her, he wouldn't know any of the guests and would be bored. However, the more she told him this, the more Darren became convinced that it would be better if he went and didn't discourage him. At the beginning of the evening, Darren was dressed and ready, but Lisa hadn't shown up yet. As soon as Darren finished getting dressed, Lisa took over the bedroom and bathroom, then took a long time getting ready. When she finally showed up, Darren's breath caught. Her hair and makeup were flawless, and her evening gown was simply sensational. The turquoise blue dress was the perfect color and fit her like a second skin. The low-cut bodice revealed a large cleavage, and she was braless. The skirt ended about 4 inches above her knees, and since there were no panties visible, Darren figured she must be wearing a thong as underwear. Of her shoes, she was wearing white strappy sandals with 4-inch heels, and her jewelry included a diamond bracelet on her left wrist and a pair of large diamond stud earrings, neither of which Darren had seen before. She looked completely desirable and a little racy at the same time. "Wow, you look amazing," he said. "Why don't we ditch the party and go somewhere more intimate and then come home late and make love all night?" When he reached out to kiss her, she pushed him away, saying, "Don't be silly, I put a lot of effort into looking like this. I don't want it ruined and I want to be seen. We're going to a party." The party was being held in the function room of one of the best hotels in town, and when Darren and Lisa arrived, most of the guests were already there. Lisa introduced Darren to one or two of her co-workers, and they gradually moved to the bar area where they chatted with a few of the other guests as they poured themselves drinks. Lisa was attracting a lot of attention from the other guests, which was just what she had hoped for. The party wasn't too formal, and the food was presented by a good buffet. The bar was free and very lively. They had been in the room for no more than half an hour when a tall, well-built man, at least 6 feet tall, approached them. He was handsome. The man took Lisa's hand, brought it to his lips, and kissed the back of it. "Hi, Lisa," he said. "I've been looking all over for you. I thought you decided not to come, and this must be your husband." "Hi, James," Lisa said, smiling widely. "I wouldn't have missed this evening for anything. Yes, this is Darren. He works at the hospital, something very technical." Turning to Darren, she said, "Darren, this is James, my manager. We work very closely together." Turning to Darren, James held out his hand, but as Darren was about to take it, he saw a look in James's eyes that made him feel that this smooth man would try to show him who was boss with a knuckle-cracking handshake. James didn't know that Darren had his own tight grip when he wanted to use it, and he had mastered the art of making his hand into a tight fist that was hard to unclench. James grabbed Darren's hand and predictably tried to hurt him to show him who was boss. However, he failed to unclench Darren's hard fist, and then he found his own fist unclenching from the smaller man's fierce grip. He tried his best, but Darren would not yield, and beads of sweat beaded on James's forehead and his arm began to ache badly. Darren gave up and let the handshake dissolve. Looking James in the eye, he smiled at him and said, "Yes, nice to meet you. I like men with a firm handshake." Blushing and well aware that the other party guests had noticed what had happened, James replied, "Yes, but I need to socialize." He then turned to Lisa. "I hope to dance with you later." "Sure," she replied with a pained smile. As James stepped away, Lisa pounced on her husband. "Why did you do that?" "Everyone noticed," she hissed. "Well, the asshole started it," Darren said. "I know him. He's a bully and likes to show everyone what a big man he is. He picked the wrong victim this time." "He's my boss, and you were supposed to treat him with respect," Lisa said. "You're kidding, of course," Darren replied. "He's a complete stranger. No one respects people like him. They need to be brought down to earth." "Better get me a drink," she said. "I wish you hadn't come today." "I bet he thinks the same," Darren replied with a smirk, heading off to get drinks for them both. It took a few minutes to get service at the busy bar, and when he returned and handed Lisa her drink, he saw James approaching them again. Ignoring Darren and walking over to Lisa, James asked if she would like to dance with him. "Yes, I'd love to," she replied with a wide smile on her face. Handing her drink to Darren, she told him, "You better find a table for us." She allowed herself to be led out onto the dance floor. Darren quickly took a table from where he could watch the dance floor. He didn't trust this arrogant man, and was beginning to realize he shouldn't trust Lisa either. James and Lisa danced 4 tunes in a row, and his hands gradually moved to her back, hips, and backside, pulling her to him. Lisa brought her hands up so that her palms were behind James's neck, and they practically pressed cheek to cheek. Just when Darren decided he'd had enough and was about to head out onto the dance floor to reclaim his wife, James brought her back. He still had his hand on her body, running it through the other dancers, and Darren was sure he was squeezing her. Lisa joined Darren at the table and took her drink. "I apologized for your bad manners," she told him. "James said it was okay, as it is often a cover for an inferiority complex." "I don't want to hear any more about Mr. Excellence," Darren said sharply. "Now I think it's my turn to dance with my wife." "Oh, not now," Lisa said with a frown. "Let me catch my breath first. James is such a physical dancer. He's boring me at this point." Half an hour later, she indulgently danced 2 tunes with Darren before insisting that he bring her a fresh drink. A few minutes later, as he returned to the drinks table, he saw that James had returned. He was standing very close to Lisa and had her hand in his and was leaning on her back with his other hand. Setting the drinks on the table, Darren noticed that the other couples around them were showing interest in what was going on. Turning to James, he said loudly, "Get your filthy hands off my wife, asshole!" James glared at him. "Oh, I think she's happy holding my hand," he replied. "If you don't let her go now, there's going to be trouble," said Darren. An angry Lisa turned to him and said, "Darren, I think you should go home. You're ruining the party." "Yeah, you're right," Darren replied loudly. "Get your coat and we'll go home. That asshole has completely ruined the evening." By this time, James was seething with rage. "I'm not going," Lisa declared. "I'm staying here for the rest of the party, and then I'm going home with James. I'll stay with him tonight and come home tomorrow." "You what?" shouted a shocked Darren. "If you think you can go home after you've gone to have sex with that asshole, you're sorely mistaken. That's why you were so anxious to come to the party this time, isn't it? You're cheating on me with this asshole, and things are already going well between you two." By this point, James was already very embarrassed, and several of the staff around them were now openly staring at it. Standing between Darren and Lisa and towering over the shorter man, he growled, "Shut your fucking mouth and leave or I'll throw you out." Darren, looking at his rival, shouted, "It takes a real man to throw me out, not some conniving wife hunter with a superiority complex. It's obvious now that you've been sleeping with my wife for months and you're going to pay for it." James then tilted his head forward in an attempt to intimidate the stunted man and hissed at him, "Keep your voice down and get out of here. Lisa is staying with me. You lose." Enraged, Darren saw an opportunity too good to pass up. He threw his head back as if to dodge James's aggression and then pitched forward sharply, smashing his forehead into the bridge of the larger man's nose, and heard a satisfying crack as it broke. James jerked backward. Blood rushed from his broken nose, soaking his shirt and jacket. Staggering, he spread his legs, trying to keep his balance. Darren took the second opportunity to kick the larger man hard between his legs, hitting him in the toe of his pointy leather boot. James collapsed to the floor, blood dripping from his nose, and he clutched his groin. Before he could defend himself, Darren stepped forward and kicked him again, even harder than before. James screamed. "Oh, God, that must have hurt," Darren said. Turning to his cheating wife, he said loudly for all around to hear, "Enjoy your night with your lover. Although I imagine you'll spend it in the hospital in an ambulance, I highly doubt your lover will be having sex for much longer. When you return to our house, remember to bring the big car with you, and pick up your clothes and other personal belongings from the front lawn where they will be waiting for you. You'd better get there early. I think the forecast calls for rain for a couple days." With these words, he turned on his heels and left the room to the loud applause of the other party members who had seen the whole confrontation. Home, he traveled alone. As upset as he was at the loss of his once loving wife, Darren realized immediately that there could be no chance of reconciliation. He would never forgive her for being unfaithful or trying to humiliate him. He now knew why she had been so moody at home in recent weeks. And once she cheated, she would cheat, and there could be no second chances. Back in the real world, he realized he was in for trouble. Undoubtedly, after trashing his wife's lover, the local police would soon be on his doorstep, and he could expect to be charged with assault at the very least. However, he figured that, given his impeccable character and the provocation he had given the asshole and his own wife, he would likely be sentenced to a non-custodial sentence or probation rather than jail time. Either way, at that point, he didn't care. As expected, a couple hours later, 2 police officers came to the house. Darren was arrested and taken to the police station, where he was questioned and charged, then released home on bail posted by his brother Bill, who arrived on his phone call. Back home, a very tired Darren decided to try and get some sleep, but surprisingly fell asleep quickly due to his exhausted state. Lisa came home after noon on Sunday. She was angry and upset. She went with her lover to the hospital where he was admitted after being seen in the emergency room. He was left in the hospital overnight under observation, and now he was facing surgery to set his badly broken nose. He would likely also have to lose one of his testicles, which was badly torn where Darren had kicked him. Lisa arrived home in a cab, and as she entered her soon-to-be former home, she was surprised to get a call on her cell phone from James. He was still in the hospital and in a lot of pain. "Hi, darling," she replied. "How are you feeling? I'll visit you later. I'm so sorry my idiot husband hurt you. I'll make it up to you, I promise." "Don't come here," James replied in a strangled voice. "In fact, you'd better not come near me again. You've caused me enough trouble as it is. And now it seems I'm also going to lose my job because of you. I have to meet with the managing director when I get out of hospital, and the board members have said they want me to leave because of what happened and the reason for it. I have no doubt that you will be fired too, and we will both end up with gross misconduct. I want nothing more to do with you. You told me you could handle your husband, but you've done nothing but piss him off." "Well, fuck off," Lisa replied angrily. "You were supposed to handle a much smaller man, but it seems he was the only real man." Interrupting the phone connection, she turned to Darren. "I guess you're pleased with yourself now," she spat out. "It looks like you ruined James's career and took away my job just because you couldn't stand to see me partying at night." Then, realizing she was only making things worse, she changed her tone. "Look, I know what we did was wrong, but you could have just backed off and gone home, and then we could have worked things out tonight. It wasn't a big deal. It was just a night of sex. Nothing more. It would have been over sooner or later anyway, and we could have moved on with our lives together like we had always planned. I wasn't in love with James or anything like that." There was no apology for the fact that she had been cheating on Darren for months and was obviously going to continue cuckolding him if he hadn't made such a fuss about James's attentions to her. "Well, aren't you a self-centered fool?" Darren replied. "I can't believe you actually thought that you thought as if I would let you continue a relationship with another man and knowingly be cuckolded without doing anything about it. You don't know me at all if you don't understand what my reaction would be. Now, of course you do, and you know how I feel about infidelity. We're done, and I want you to leave my house now. You can pack all the things you can carry and arrange to pick up the rest when you have suitable transportation." "That won't be necessary," Lisa whined. "We can get through this and get back to our happy life together." "No thanks," Darren said. "I don't need a cheating wife. You know how I feel about adultery. One and done is my motto. How long did you cheat on me with that bastard? There's no point in lying about it. I'm sure one of your workmates could tell me if I asked them." "It's only been a couple months, just a few times. It's no big deal," she replied. "Just once would be a big deal," he growled. "You really are an unattached fool, aren't you? Now pack your things and get out. If I never see you again, it will be too soon." Lisa didn't think Darren would kick her out. She was sure she would get more than he would after the divorce, including the house, which was unmortgaged and had increased in value considerably since they had lived in it. She had forgotten that the house had been purchased with money from an inheritance left to Darren by his grandfather. Lisa had invested nothing in the purchase of the house, and since she wasn't interested in the legal aspects, she had forgotten that the title was registered solely in her husband's name. It was his house, not their house. She was about to find out that on divorce, she would only receive personal belongings, 50% of the value of their savings, which was less than £25,000, and a few pieces of furniture. After listening to his wife lash out at him for a while, Darren told her that he wasn't interested in anything his cheating wife might say to him. He again told her to pack her things and get out of his house. "Oh yes," he said, "you noticed I said my house because that's what it is. It's registered in my name and was bought with my inheritance. The house belongs to me, not us, and you are no longer welcome here. You will get the divorce papers from me as soon as I can talk to a lawyer." Shocked and crying, Lisa soon left with 2 suitcases containing enough clothes and belongings to get on with her life. She was only now beginning to realize what she had thrown away so easily for a strange lover. Darren had arranged for her to pick up the rest of her belongings and furniture when she found a place to live, but in the meantime, she would move in with her shocked parents. When Darren explained to her parents the reason for her divorce from Lisa, they told her that as long as she was under their roof, they would not tolerate her having male guests, and if they found her having sex, she would have to leave and find her own place. In time, Darren went to court to answer charges of assault and battery and causing actual bodily harm to James. His lawyer convinced him to plead guilty to all charges, but to ask that it be taken into account that he was extremely provoked by his wife and her lover. His plea was supported by the testimony of witnesses present at the party that night. So although his actions that night could not be justified and he was found guilty because of the extreme provocation he had been subjected to, his prison sentence was deferred on the condition that he behave himself for 2 years. Although Lisa contested the divorce and tried to get the court to order counseling, this was refused on the grounds that it would be an unnecessary expense given her actions and the way she had tried to publicly humiliate her husband. It was obvious to the court that any remorse she felt was because she and her lover had been caught and punished, but in no way because she was remorseful. It was only because of her cheating with James before the party and her actions during the event that Darren decided to divorce her, and the petition was granted. In the end, everyone involved was on the losing end. The only satisfaction for everyone was that Darren knew that James would never be able to seduce a woman again, so badly was his body damaged. The end! Subscribe to my channel. Thank you!